Blanc de Blanc.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that means?
White of white. I don't know what that means.
So it's just the Chardonnay grape.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But even though we're drinking this, and I haven't actually looked at the bottle, most likely it is Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. But they spend less time with the
How do I
with
know
the
that?
skin.
I know, that's so interesting.
It'll
Can
say.
you tell us? But how do I know? I'm
Sure, if I
looking
wrote
at
my
this.
glasses, it'll say back here usually.
Wow,
We're
this
on
is
the
good.
hunt.
Okay, it says
Wow, this is good.
product of France. I see that. The Rhine. I love the Rhine, by the way.
Okay.
So
But
it may or may not.
I don't see it, Bart.
Okay, so brut, that means it's dry.
Oh,
And it's
yeah,
just
what
not
is
telling-
brut?
Brut
What
means
does
it's
brut
dry.
mean?
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Because it can be.
I didn't know that. I like Brut.
Because it can be sweet or dry, right? Well, if it's sweet, what's it called?
There's different levels of secco. No, not prosecco, but sec. I mean, they use that SEC is French for.
I don't get enough.
sweetness.
I don't get enough secco. I don't know. No sugar. That's a whole nother story.
We're going to stick with Brut.
The show's taking a turn.
Hey, I'm going to fire you in a minute here.
I've only had one half of a sip, and I'm already.
You know how
having
this is
a good
going to go.
All right, so
Yes.
there is, and now, so there's actually one sparkling wine in California that can actually call itself champagne.
Really?
Yeah, and I can't remember
Why?
what it
Because
is.
they bring the grapes over from Champagne.
Somehow they got approval from Champagne, so it's one of the
Oh, wow.
it's one of the champagne houses that somehow got approval here in California.
Huh.
And I can't remember off the top of my head, but
That's interesting.
This
but
was it.
I got called out at actually one of our
I thought
client
this
wine
was it at
dinners.
Cristal when we were there. He was telling us about that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There is a debate. I know this isn't about Champagne, but there's a debate up in Oregon because they are trying to protect their brand of Pinot Noirs. And there's somebody down here that buys the grapes from Oregon and then bottles them and calls it an Oregon Pinot Noir. And
Because that's where the grapes are
That's
from.
where the grapes are from.
And they
Yeah.
got beat up, and they said, "Nope, you can't say that." And there are regional boards that administer these things, and
Yeah, they're called ACAs.
yeah,
Or
and,
AVAs.
and they
rather.
sued and prevented this winery from using that terminology because these are all perfect. It's like champagne; it's all protected brands. Or tequila from real tequila supposed to be from Tequila.
So what does the
Mexico.
AVA stand for those novices? out here?
American Viticulture Association.
So that's like a governing board over...
Yeah,
Wine.
it's like Napa has several, Sonoma has several. They break them down. There's
Okay.
actually in Temecula, San Ynez. I forgot the number. I know I passed it for my test, but I couldn't tell you the number. But they're all specific. And
Okay, got it.
Oregon has a few.
Right.
And getting to Oregon, because the primary grapes that Oregon grows are Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. So probably no surprise, they make a really, really good sparkling wine.
Now, can I ask you another question here? Because real good wine is from a specific region, a specific wine. It's not a blend. It's they harvest the grapes, and those grapes from that vineyard are what they use to make it. I know in France and Italy and other things they have different ways to calculate this stuff. But in California, you're supposed to be known by you're either a blend or you're a specific grape and year. Right?
Oh, Paul.
I'm struggling. I was doing good there for a while.
Yeah. You just I brought you down a couple of numbers.
I guess what I'm saying is champagne a blend or is it just one grape from one?
So you
Just
can.
talked about
So and I'm going to address what you just said
Yes.
because there's some untruths in what you just said.
Yeah, I
But with-
realized I was saying it. I was flopping here. But go ahead.
with regards to sparkling wine or champagne, what's considered better if it's a vintage? That means
That's
that
the word I was
all of
struggling
the
for. That's
all
the
of
word
the
I was-
grapes that year came from a particular vintage.
That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
Most champagne, however, is non-vintage, and it might
So
actually
it's not
say on the bottle.
1984 or something.
Yeah,
It's
so
not-
much
it'll
sense
be
now.
they actually put them all in a vat and then
Right.
they'll just and it's really really good. There's no problem. It's just that it's
That's what I was trying to get at. I was struggling to. I forgot the word vintage. Yes, all right.
So I wanted to understand, Bart, if you can...
You want to understand Bart from today's show? Is that what you said? You said I want to understand Bart.
Paul is on a he's on a roll. Here.
Paul's on fire today,
He's not
for
going to be
sure.
drinking
I
anymore.
don't get to drink like
Paul
this.
is not
is
drinking
great.
on our show
Very
anymore.
good.
So as I'm preparing for dinner on Christmas and New Year's and the holidays, and I have friends over, I am not as skilled in my wine selection, and I am looking at... let's go to a wine place and say, okay, I want to be able to pick out the right wine for my dinner. Can you help me and what that looks like and kind of what pairs well so everyone enjoys my dinner, and I have at least enough knowledge to be able to serve a nice wine and to be dangerous. I don't have to be the best. It's just for everyone out there that can use a little bit of your expertise.
Like, what are those quick tips you could give us that are just easy?
So the only thing I would say was, why not be the best? Let's get the best wine for whatever.
Yeah. So how do I pick that up? Besides going to Google.
Right.
Going to bar.
Well, let me ask you this. What are you planning on having for dinner for your Christmas dinner?
So every year we do a different theme. Yeah. And this year our theme is we're going to do Indian food for Christmas.
Indian food for Christmas? How unusual.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love
so
that.
we do a theme. Thanksgiving we do traditional family foods, but for Christmas we do a theme.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So I'm coming over.
Yeah, you're welcome. Everyone's welcome.
Yeah.
Tell me, what does that look like? How can I pair some of these foods?
So
more spicier.
The general rule is if you're going to have a spicy food, you get a slightly sweeter wine.
Okay.
Because the sweet will offset the spicy. Okay. If you get something that's not, the alcohol will actually make the spice even hotter.
Okay.
And then it gets a little bit, And so it's kind of, a little bit counterintuitive.
Yeah,
so you would not pick a dry champagne, you'd pick a sweeter champagne.
If you were going to do champagne. But just off the top of my head, the perfect match for Indian food would be a Riesling.
Now, I think in the back of my mind, Riesling is super sweet.
I do too.
And that's very, very common.
They have dry Rieslings,
There is 6 levels of Riesling, from super sweet to dry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, from in the sommelier's world, the Riesling is the most easily paired wine. Actually, equal with sparkling wine or champagne, my favorite, than any other wine. And one of the reasons is the Riesling has so many different levels. And the other thing that the master sommelier that taught me, it was one of his favorite things. He says, I drink Riesling all day while I'm thinking about what I'm going to drink for dinner.
Your go-to wine is Riesling.
So what would be it's not too sweet, but it would offset the spicy.
So you want to go with, if you're looking for something just dry.
Give me a couple names.
So a dry Riesling. And I would go.
Well, we're going to go there. We're going to name people. Okay.
Names or
naming
blends.
Names.
Something.
So I'm more like into region than I am.
Okay, a region.
So
something that I can
I don't think
find.
he ever drinks blends. You said the bad word.
No. All right,
drink
let me
blends?
answer this, and I'm going to attack that.
Wait, answer my question.
Yeah. So I would.
I'm taking notes
She
here.
needs help.
I would do. I would go to Germany. You don't have to actually travel
Getting on
to Germany.
I'm off.
I would look in the German region of
How about like
either
Alsace-Lorraine?
Alsace is great, or another great wine for any food would be a
Gewürztraminer.
I like that one.
Gewürztraminer.
I do like those.
That's a little bit sweeter. There's not many dry levels of Gewürztraminer.
It is
but that's great with Indian food. So you want to stick with Germany or Alsace, which is kind of the northern, almost touching Switzerland.
Got it.
So South Coast Winery, which is in Temecula, actually makes a great Gewürztraminer. Well, I can't say that. So FYI, if you need that for Indian food,
That's
it's
fantastic. Great. I appreciate it. Thanks, Paula.
Yeah. So that would be my recommendation. So
how about you, Paula? What are you
having for dinner?
So I'm Italian, and that is a recurring theme year over year in every holiday. So and again, not only am I Italian, but I don't eat meat. I only eat seafood.
Wow.
So I make a butternut squash pasta dish with shrimp, and there's a sauce that I make that's got Parmesan in it. It's all grated from scratch with pureed butternut squash and garlic. So that's usually our main meal, and then there's some quote-unquote healthy sides. They're as healthy as
I'm so hungry. It sounds delicious.
That I'm Italian. So, what would you drink with that? What would you recommend?
So that goes to another one of my favorites. Happens to be the varietal in the champagne. That's Chardonnay, left, right, upside down. That's all the way.
So, what do you do for a girl like me who doesn't like white wine unless it's bubbles? I know.
You don't like white wine? You don't like Chardonnay?
I don't know. I would do bubbles or red always, but you wouldn't put any kind of red with that, would you?
So, yeah, I have a backup. And that's our next wine here. So, if you're not going to do Chardonnay, I would say bubbles.
Yeah.
Bubble goes with anything all day. Letitia and I were at an event the other day. Actually, Louis wrote her. It was Cristal. 8 courses, 7 courses.
Oh
my gosh!
Every course was a vintage of Cristal.
It was amazing.
It was one of the most amazing foodie wine nights
Had to be incredible.
of our life, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then if not, I would do a mild red, which would be like either a Pinot Noir.
Oh, I like Pinot.
Yeah, I like Pinot. We can go with that.
What's a good Pinot that you can recommend?
Pinots have a reputation, though, to be all over the place. They can. I went to a Pinot tasting up in around UCLA at the Getty Museum up there a while ago, and it just reinforced what I always thought. There's great ones and there's bad ones. It doesn't seem to be a defined
depends on
style.
the region,
well,
right?